Hi, my name is Chris Holton Jablonski, and it is my great joy and my deep honor to serve you as your minister. This is The Peace of Wild Things by Wendell Berry. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound in fear of what my life and my children's lives might be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things, who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world and am free. There is something that happens to my family in the woods. It might be as simple as the fact as where we go, this Lake Umbagog I speak to you all of every year, probably around this time. There are no screens, only what we can bring with us on a boat, only what can be powered by campfires and s'mores and coffee and cocoa, only what can be calmed by swimming, sometimes hours and hours of swimming. We bring only ourselves and clothes and food and fires and boats and paddles, some fishing supplies, and one phone, which is only used as a camera. And miracle of miracles, when the battery is only used to capture memories, it lasts the entire 5 days we are there. I first heard of this place years ago when we moved back to the proper coast, following years in the permanently beautiful land of the Bay Area of California, my second beloved home. I loved it there, but always longed to return here. Longed to return to the forests and the smells and the land I knew. There is something deeply comforting to land that you know in the bones of your bones. In fishing, we call it home water. Rivers you know by heart. Rivers you know not only where the fish might be waiting for you, but how it changes with the seasons and the progress. Water where you recognize rocks that have been moved, or a tree which has fallen when changes come. The first time, many years ago, that I went to Umbagog was during a difficult time in our family. My eldest son was little then, but was just beginning to have some struggles with his mental health. He is thriving now, but at that point, we were in the midst of the beginning of some hard times. Every school morning was a battle. Just getting up and out of the house every day was difficult. I am always mindful of stories which are theirs and which I share or don't share, so I won't go into detail, but we were in a tough place. And then we went to the woods. It was just the two of us. He was 6. We had never been camping, not alone for days. We made the long drive north, registered at the campground, parked the car, and then started the many-mile paddle to the campsite. I remember that first time too, having never been there, navigating by map in a lake with a curvy shoreline. It was quite a process to find the campsite, but eventually we did. And as we got settled, something shifted in us both. Slowly, as we set up our tent and we took the first swim, as we settled into this new space, as we heard the call of the loons over the water for the first time, something slowly settled. We came into the peace of wild things and were free. Far apart from the stresses of normal life, I could see my son return. as if a haze had parted. In fact, on that lake many mornings there is a mist covering the lake. Sometimes on a clear day you can see for miles and miles. Many mornings in the mist you can barely see 10 feet away. I love those mornings. Camp coffee down by the water. A whole day's adventure stretched out before us. I remember seeing my son again in those days. And he has done so much good work to grow into the young man he is. I'm so proud of him. Just yesterday in our kitchen, I held him as we spoke with his mom, just a casual chat in passing, and I thought back to this little version of him nestled in the front of the canoe, eating grapes and reading a comic book as I paddled for hours, first up the Androscoggin River, a favorite of mine, and then across the lake. I thought of that tiny version of him, and now the nearly man-sized version of him before me. I thought of the lightning quick flash of life. I thought of our trips this summer, twice back up to the lake to camp, and I smiled. And of course, you don't need to travel hours in a car and then again miles on a boat to touch this kind of peace. These mornings especially, birdsong all around my house transports me in a similar way. The song somehow reminding me of the wild which surrounds me always. These migrating birds, this flow of life, singing their reminders to me over and over. Don't go back to sleep. Remember. And the gardens, the blossoms and buds, the greens, shoots, the thriving and the struggling plants, all these trees surrounding us, reminding us that life persists, that we are part of this all, blessedly tasked with caretaking these little plots of land around us. So much has been hard this year, so much unknown, so much change. Especially now, it matters what returns us to our deepest and truest selves. Especially now, it matters that we take time and make time to help our families and our beloveds do the same, to shape our springs and summers so that we can rest, as the poet says, in the grace of the world. I recently spoke with Doris and Howard Hunter. They are dear colleagues and wonderful longtime members of the church. They had a fire and lost their home in January. And I asked Howard if there was any piece of writing that he had found returning to over and over, anything that had been helping. And he shared this, The Avowal by Denise Levertov. As swimmers dare to lie face to the sky and water bears them, as hawks rest upon air and air sustains them, so would I learn to attain free fall and float in great Creator Spirit's deep embrace, knowing no effort earns that all surrounding grace. To me, this is the peace of wild things, putting it all down, allowing yourself to free fall, to rest in the embrace of something larger, something more powerful, more beautiful than yourself, to lie back into grace, remembering that you are held now and always. So much love to you all. Amen.